Good evening, wonderful people, great Biafrans, wherever you are. On this very planet Earth, we welcome you to another exciting, I will even say explosive, live presentation of Radio Biafra with my humble self this very evening of the 10th of June in the year of our Most High Elohim, Chukwokika Biama Primi Henine 2020, with the time now standing at precisely 3 minutes past 7 p.m. in the blessed land of Biafra, and by the same number of minutes past the top of the hour, regardless of where you are resident, where you are domiciled, where you are working, even those who are traveling, I say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to some of you. Radio Biafra is not like any other. We are listened to across the entire 24 time zones of this very earth that we inhabit. Therefore, regardless of where you are and what you're doing, if you have access to the internet, you should be able to receive and listen to this very live presentation. If you are on social media, it becomes even far more easier by going to my page at Mazi Nnamdi Kanu with over 400,000 followers. If you are in some parts of Biafra land and Lagos as well, you should be able to join us via our terrestrial radio, CHK 102.1, 95.1, 102.2, depending on where you are. I am sure that these frequencies are regularly updated and published, that people may be able to obtain the information and then follow us accordingly. We are also on satellite. For those of you with a satellite decoder, wherever you are in the world, you should be able to receive Radio Biafra as well. If you are on Radio Biafra app, if you are on TuneIn app, if you are on Simple Radio app, if you are also on Garden Radio, simply download any of these apps, search for Radio Biafra, you will find us. I must also tell you that, of course, our enemies are trying very hard to replicate what we are doing. Should you come across any other app that is bearing Radio Biafra and you are not listening to my voice, then you know there is something wrong with it. We are Radio Biafra, no other appendages, just Radio Biafra. And as I welcome you this very evening, I must ask you to also welcome those who are around you, your friends, your family. You must gather together, you must huddle together. Where you are not able to allow people to come close to you, I will of course ask you to amplify the volume to make sure that those who are around can also participate, because what we are doing is unique. What we are seeking to accomplish is divine. Without the mandate from heaven, we would not be here today to spread this very gospel that we have been mandated to preach. My name is Nnamdi Kanu. I am the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. I am the director of Radio Biafra. I am the director of Biafra Television, but above all, I am a servant of the wonderful people of Biafra. Before we proceed this very evening, I must call it a momentous evening because shortly before we came on air, we know or we saw and knew that Secretary of State Mike Pompeo was addressing a press conference. They have finished and it was quite compelling. I will go through that as we proceed this very evening, but without further hesitation, we will call upon Elohim, as we always do, to come and take charge of our proceedings this very evening, morning, afternoon, or night, depending on where you are. If you're listening to us via Facebook, you must also be warned that my account is being suppressed. All the money that the zoo has been borrowing have been going into making sure they stifle our attack. But they cannot succeed. They have never succeeded in the past, and they will not succeed now. Therefore, I must reiterate that those of them who are doing all within their powers to suppress our inalienable right to freedom of expression and of speech, those who despise freedom, those who do not want Africa to see the light, you are wasting your time regardless of what you do. On my Facebook page, I will preach this very gospel. Millions are listening all over the world across a plethora of platforms. We are simulcasting also on YouTube. Therefore, all your efforts to try to censor, all your efforts to try to control our output is futile. You have failed and will continue to fail. It doesn't matter what you do. This very gospel we must preach. It doesn't matter. Before we go any further, we must pray this very evening. Regardless of where you are, I will ask you to please bow down your heads because we are the children of light. We represent hope. We must ask the Almighty Creator in heaven, God Almighty, the Lord of all the hosts, the host of all the hosts of heaven, the only entity that man and spirit bow before. You sent us from above, our Lord, our God, our Father who art in heaven. That is why we say this evening, hallowed be thy name. Because from this scrap heap, from the ruins of those who have been abandoned, you lifted up Ethiopia. You beckoned on their friends, the very few of them that you filled with your spirit. You brought us out of the waters. You delivered us from the hands of our enemies, those who are stronger than us, those who possess access to ammunition more than we can ever imagine. You delivered us from those that hated us, for they were too strong for us. In 67 to 70, they converged to destroy your creation. They confronted us in the days of our calamity. Men, women, and children died. But at the last count, over 5 million of your children lay dead at the hands of the enemy. But you did not abandon your children. That is why we glorify your holy name every day. That is why we exalt thee, because if not for you, our Lord and our God, today we would have been possibly converted to Islam. But you decreed that we are your children, that you will bring us out into a broad place, that you will deliver us from the hands of our enemies. Because despite all our shortcomings and our sins, you delight in us because we are blessed and we come from thee. You are the only God who reward according to the conscience of man, according to the cleanness of our hands and of our hearts, according to the purity of our thoughts. For the time that you promised have come. For you said, only if we return to thee, you will deliver us from the hands of our adversaries. And we have from thee, and from all that we can see around us, we have commenced under your guidance and your grace this irreversible journey to freedom. Therefore, we praise your holy name. We say there is none like thee. There is none who can be compared to thee. We are not righteous. We do not pretend to be infallible. But you have kept us. You have rewarded us with your kindness and your grace. You have set a table before our enemies. We have no other God apart from thee. The ancients praised you. Our ancestors sacrificed unto thee. And this very generation and every other generation that will come will sing praises unto your holy name, because we are surrounded by enemies who are stronger than us, and you delivered us from their hands and gave us victory over them. We have nothing, we possess nothing, we only brag with your name and no other. Therefore we pray, O Heavenly Father, that you accept from our lips every adoration, every exaltation, every praise and every honor, that your name may be glorified, adored, and worshipped, now and forevermore, we pray. He said, Mama Chineke. This evening, as it has now become customary for us, we are going to lay a very basic foundation prior to the commencement of our broader analysis this evening. You must pay very close attention, as it has now become customary for us to do. Here we preach, here we tutor, here we lecture, and here we impart knowledge and wisdom. You cannot get from anywhere else on the face of this very earth. We are very proud of this very gift from the Most High. Messages are being given to us on a daily basis. And as I have repeatedly said, when I am sat behind this microphone, we are under divine instruction to proclaim the will of the Most High, that his children may be set free on the face of this very earth. Facebook, as I said earlier, has received the latest tranche of their blood money, as the zoo is busy receiving what they call Abacha loot. They are also busy siphoning it back to whence it came, and the loose change they have, they bribe the Yoruba people working for Facebook to try to suppress this very truth that we preach on a daily basis. My Facebook page continues to come under relentless attack. Therefore, this evening, as you participate very attentively via that very medium, if you're kicked out, I will ask you to rejoin, because they no longer send out notifications when I'm about to come live. They want to separate the audience. They want to give you the impression that the world is not listening. They want to subdue our agitation. They want us to be subsumed in Judaism. They want us to be crushed and trampled upon. They want our resources to be siphoned away without anybody asking questions. And the only way they can accomplish that is if we allow them to succeed in holding us down in perpetuity. That we have sworn never to allow. Because our enemies understand how irrepressible we are. They attest to our formidability. They understand it. That is why I subscribe to what somebody wrote earlier. I do apologize very profusely, because I wasn't able to capture your name, but somebody wrote something on my page that was very compelling. I found it very moving, and I felt that the essence of this very gospel this evening will be anchored on this very, should I say, timeless proclamation by no other person than one of the very few people that I regard as genuine intellectuals in the history of mankind, Bob Marley. And he said, "How we never know nor live with truth, so long we never live well. How we fail in learning is why we grow in ignorance." In knowledge, not even only our sense could free our own minds from mental slavery. In the era of George Floyd, in the era of all the outbursts against racism all over the world, in a time of rediscovery for those that subscribe to the sacredness of humanity, regardless of your creed, your race, your color, or your sex, that at such an auspicious time as this, we must all look at ourselves and begin to ask very critical questions, and by way of summary, having total regard for what Bob Marley said, I anchor the difficulties, the problems, the tribulations, the pain, the anguish, and the suffering of your average black person, man or woman, resident in Europe, in Asia, in America, in South America, in Africa. I sum everything up as only one single deficiency: ignorance. And we are here to dispel, or should I say, to treat and cure our people of this very ignorance this evening, morning, afternoon, or night, depending on where you are to us from. Pay very close attention, please. Because in the Western world, when they make somebody a saint, you will hear them talk about St. Patrick, they talk about St. George, they talk about the myriad of saints that they possess in the Western world. I'm telling you. A saint is somebody that slays a dragon. And a dragon is a beast, a very fiery beast. This is something they don't teach you in your primary, in secondary, or even in your universities. But here this evening, you will understand it. This is the secrets they keep away from you. But here on Radio Biafra, we unravel that very thing that the world thinks cannot be unraveled. When they call you a saint in the Western world, be it in Europe, be it in Britain, be it in the USA, even in Russia, it means you have done something that no other person has been able to do. You have slain one of the 3 deadly dragons you have in life. White people call it a dragon, so that you will not understand what it means. You don't see those things. They are the things that keep you oppressed and locked down in poverty and penury. They are ignorance. The other one is hunger and poverty. And the other demon is homelessness. Understand it very well. When you're able to slay any of these dragons, they call you a saint. That is why the Western world will always maintain their preeminence in reasoning. They invest so much in education because it is in the interest of everybody that everybody else is not only educated but able to reason properly. Because only those who are reasonable and sensible can practice true democracy. That reasonability or ability to possess common sense doesn't necessarily come from a paper degree. It comes from the way you discern, the way you analyze, the way you read problems, and what solutions you apply to them. This evening, having regard for what Mazi said about our failure to learn and why black people are always growing in ignorance. The only place where we grow is in ignorance. People think that having a PhD, having your master's, having whatever degree you may possess, somehow confers on you the recognition of intellectual prowess. That is not the case. What it means is that you can read and you can write in English language. It doesn't mean you're intelligent. It doesn't mean that at all. Because if 200 million people who are in the zoo called Nigeria, if they're intelligent, as they claim, there is no reason why before we came on air, newspapers and media houses are carrying the news that 50 people were slaughtered in Katsina, the home of the dead Buhari. 50 people killed. I thought that I would have said 50 people killed in one day, but that wasn't enough. This is a country where only a few days ago, their so-called presidency without a president went out and told the whole world that IPOB was deceiving them or feeding them with wrong information. In that same country, in that same contraption, I must say it's a contraption, of course, today, only today, in Katsina, 50 people dead. I want to follow very, very attentively. In that same country, or in that same contraption, in far away in Borno, or I would say not too far from Borno, another 69 people were killed. 50 plus 69. These are those that we know. These are the ones we are aware of. There are plenty more we've not heard and not likely to hear because of lack of media coverage. Now, tell me why a country of 200 million people, allegedly, will sit idly by. And every day, such news will keep coming through. 50 killed, churches burnt, mosques attacked. Everywhere people are dying on a daily basis. The same people who are being killed have not summoned the courage to say enough is enough. Only what the Hausa youths did yesterday in Katsina by burning the billboard of the late Buhari. Something that a few years ago would have been unheard of. Because people have failed to reason. People have failed to comprehend. People have lost the ability to critically appraise and analyze their situation. That is why we are in this mess. And I'm trying to point out something here so that you understand the relationship between what Bob Marley said. You will understand how that correlates to the people dying in the zoo every day. Because unless you do something about it, next time it could be you or your children. And I want to let you understand also how this whole thing ties into the death of George Floyd in Texas, in America. That all these things are self-inflicted. That black people are poor today is because black people want to be poor. Or should I say we are lazy. That laziness is not about being physically fit or being able to move 500 bags of cement in one day. No. That laziness comes from the way we absorb information into our brain, how we analyze it, critically or not, and the output or the decisions that we take as a result of how we actually understood that very problem in our brains. You must listen very carefully. I posted a video a short while ago on my page about the orgy of violence that Facebook actually blocked. If it is anything to do with pornography, they will allow it. But when it comes to educating and sanitizing our people to understand the dangers that we face at the hands of the Fulani Janjaweed, Facebook will rise up. And I keep saying it all the time, even at the risk of being labeled a bigot. Those who are doing these things are Yoruba people working for Facebook. And it is very, very sad that they are doing this. They have steadfastly refused to learn from history. They have refused to learn from history. What transpired in Ilorin will happen in Ibadan. They should mark my words as I speak. If they continue to support evil, using every instrument at their disposal, including the preeminence in the management of social media firms and mainstream media in Nigeria, what they encountered, the way they lost Ilorin, that same way they will lose Ibadan. Mark my words. I am speaking very slowly this very evening because of the importance of this very message that we are about to impart. After posting that very video, a short while afterwards, coincidentally, Mike Pompeo spoke and addressed the issues contained in the executive order signed by President Trump a few days ago. Before Pompeo spoke, and having gone through all the, should I say, the festival of death zoo, called again, all the deaths, 50 in Katsina, 69, and 50 is a conservative number. Having regard also for the video that I had posted on my page, and also given what is happening with coronavirus, I was left with no choice than to conclude that the reason why there is this criminal silence over what the Fulanis are doing in Nigeria is because some people, believe it or not, want to see the number of people who inhabit that very geographical contraption reduced. There are people who are disturbed that the growth of the population in Nigeria, if not contained, will spell havoc for their interest. I don't want to know what their interests are, but that's how they feel. So they think that if coronavirus cannot kill them, if Ebola cannot kill them, if HIV/AIDS cannot kill them, let us give them direct death, which is to instigate and give free rein to Fulani terrorist government, which is in Asarok, and Fulani bandits, 7 groups in total, to kill as many people as possible. The only reason why nothing has been done by the international community except Donald Trump is because some of these countries, if not all of them, want to see as many people as possible killed inside Nigeria. Why do I say so? Because Pompeo said this evening before I came on air, he said, in Nigeria, ISIS and Boko Haram continue to attack Muslims and Christians alike, and that is true. Christians are being targeted and killed, yes, but also Muslims are also being killed. That is true. I agree. He also alluded to, it is just very fortuitous. People will maybe think that I saw his speech before he made it. I tweeted earlier today also about the beheading of 10 Christians by ISIS. If you go to my Twitter page, you will see it. I tweeted it this morning. And this evening, the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, spoke about the same thing that I tweeted about early in the morning. It was a pure coincidence. I'm not saying I was privy to what he had to say. Not at all. I'm just merely saying what a glorious coincidence. That's what I'm trying to say. Ambassador Brownback also mentioned and said, in Nigeria, listen carefully, conflicts and carnage continue between predominantly Fulani headsmen and predominantly Christian farmers in the north central state, which means that all the campaign we have been making, along with many other groups, is now hitting home last. And it is only under a president like Trump that something like this will be done, or this level of boldness. Let us not forget, as we are all going all over the place saying, I cannot breathe, fighting racism, let us not forget that the man who put us in this mess, that now white people are seeking to fix, is a black man. The person who made it possible for ISIS to behead 10 Christians in Nigeria, the person that made it possible for all the attacks against the Christians right across the Middle Belt and the South to continue, is a black man. Obama, aided by other black men on the ground, the dead Buhari, Abba Kyari, the Fulani Janjaweed, all of them. What I find very shocking, what I find very distressing is that Donald Trump is a white man, Pompeo is a white man, Ambassador Brownback is a white man. And let me tell you what Brownback said later. I'm deeply concerned about what's happening in Nigeria. United States of America is saying they are deeply concerned. So we are getting there. Deeply concerned. A white man that you're calling a racist, Trump that you're calling a racist, is the one fighting to defend you from the people that you claim you voted for. Your fellow blacks, who brought Buhari into power. Obama, I'll prove it tonight. I said to you before that this evening I will shock the establishment of Nigeria. When I'm done this evening, if they don't release Olisa Metu in the next Is it, I said for the next 11, or begin the process of releasing him in the next 11 days. Oh my goodness. Maybe after tonight they will understand what I'm about to do to them after 12 days. Now listen. Brambach said, I'm deeply concerned about what's happening in Nigeria. Mind you, a white man. Because of the escalation of the violence and carnage and the lack of response from the APC government. We really need the Nigerian government to step up and act much more effectively in their space. Do you know why I'm so happy? Because nobody can act. Do you know why nobody can act in Nigeria? Because you have no president. You have no vice president. You have no chief of army staff. Forget about all the deep fake videos. We knew that that was what they are going to resort to. We knew that in advance. And I warned you. Follow me very carefully, please. You will think that in a country where there are issues and problems, that they will appoint people who are sensible and reasonable into positions of authority. But I am about to shock you. Because in that very zoo, people say, I'm a bigot. I don't like the Fulani. I hate them. That is far from the truth. What I hate is the stupidity and the complicity of the Fulani feudal lords with the massacre, the mayhem, the nepotism, the backwardness, and the primitivity going on in the zoo. These are the people you expect. Those of you who are not in the right frame of mind. I want to ask you a question this evening. These are the people they are appointing. I told you before. The reason why they need Fulani in every position of authority is to cover their shortcomings, to make sure they retain power until they dip that Quran in the Atlantic Ocean. Are you following me? Now, this is a man, this is just incredible, incredible. Because some of these things, when it's happening, you begin to seriously wonder what type of God actually created these people. You wonder what God made them. Do you know that there is a price to pay for mediocrity? And that is what everybody is paying. You people saw the truth and kept quiet over the years. When prophets came and told you that what you are doing will lead to your doom, you said, bring him, let's kill him. I came and I told you that they will eat you alive. They have not come to entrench good governance. You didn't listen. Some errats, mostly from the West, rose up and said, no, hang him, arrest him, hang him. And I want anybody to stand in front of me and tell me that all the things I've been saying over the years, that none of them has come to pass. They have all come to pass. Everything I told you, to the letter, all come to pass. And this is the reason why these people do what they do. This is the reason why they are as evil as they are. This is why there is no repentance for them. You don't know who they are, but we know them very, very well. And this very evening, we continue to expose them. This is what the Fulani does. This is what they do best. Nepotism. Somebody was appointed the Director General of Raw Materials Research. I've not even come to the program. All I'm doing all this while is building reference points so that when we start, you can reference everything I'm saying correctly and accurately. Do you know there is Raw Materials Research and Development Institute? That a Fulani man is in charge. His name is Hussein Ibrahim. And I want to ask this very simple question. Everybody listening to this program, with millions of people all over the world, have you heard of a Fulani scientist before? Simple question, yes or no? And I know the answer is no. Now, if there is no Fulani scientist of note, can you tell me why a Hussein Ibrahim was appointed the Director General of Raw Materials Research and Development? And when he was given that position, what did he do with it? You'll be shocked this very evening. I want people to understand the meaning of mediocrity. I want people to understand the damage that the Fulani Janjaweed administration, the skeleton, the one that Aisha is leading, how empty they are, how vacuous they are, how inconsequential they are, how primitive they are, how ruinous they are, and how their stupidity and political impotence is affecting everybody, up to the extent of giving rise to 7 terror groups. Follow this very carefully. Now, I want to play this for you, so that the world may know what is happening in the zoo called Nigeria. Listen carefully. Listen very, very carefully. Let's play.
This is as a result of raw material research and development council.
They are asking a question on raw materials. They are asking the man appointed to head raw materials research in Nigeria. Please listen.
Concluded. Can you give us the ones that have concluded that manufacturing companies are now using, and this is as a result of raw material research?
Tell us what your department has done. Tell us what they have been able to achieve. You are appointed to head raw materials research. You are Fulani. Tell us what you have been able to achieve over the years that you've been there. Over the years that you have been there, tell us what you have achieved. That's what they're asking him. I want you to follow very, very carefully, please. Tell us what you have achieved. You're a Fulani man, and you are about to be shocked. Tell us. You are about to be shocked.
That manufacturing companies are now using, and
tell us what you have researched and others are using.
Research and Development Council.
Yes, by 30 years of a research at a young institution. But to be candid with you, we are making progress.
You're making progress.
For now,
after 30 years,
we have developed a technology to optimize kilishi production.
Did you hear what he said? For 30 years, over 30 years, Janjaweed has been there in charge of research. These are people that cannot boast of any poet, no writer, no scientist, no engineer of any reputable standing. None whatsoever. But when it comes to appointments, so they're asking him, after 30 years of raw materials research, under your watch now that you're now the head of, what have you managed to produce? Do you know what he said? Some of you may not have heard him very well. He said that they have optimized the production of kilishi. You know what is kilishi? Kilishi is suya, meat, barbecued meat. So, for 30 years, what we are researching is how to slice suya, so it will be very thin and dried in the sun, and put a bit of chili on it. Sun-dried beef in 30 years. That is a country that people tell me they're proud of. This is the one Nigeria that some fools come online to write rubbish, praising, saying they're patriotic for 30 whole years. And you're wondering why George Floyd was killed. Why wouldn't George Floyd be killed by white racists? Why wouldn't he be killed? And many more before him. And many more will be killed after him. Why not? When in Africa, the giant of Africa, the so-called giant of Africa, for 30 years, 30 years, the only thing they have managed to accomplish with their flagship research institute is how to slice meat, suya, so it will be very thin. You put it in pepper, you put it on the roof, so that flies and everything will converge and the sun will dry it. Kilishi. From a Fulani man, I am ashamed to be a black person after listening. I am horrified. After 30 years, Research Institute, the woman asked him, in 30 years, can you tell us what the benefit of the research you've been doing? Which company or companies have benefited from it? What materials, what products have you managed to produce or to say commercialize? He said that they have commercialized suya production. Kilishi. Kilishi. Giant of Africa. We are moving forward. The largest economy in Africa. The most populous black nation. No secession. No division. We are going to die here. All of us. These are the sort of people they produce. And an idiot will wake up and tell me. I was I was horrified by what I read. I thought, what's his name? Senator Shehu was an Hausa man, isn't it? Horrified. This level of stupidity is the reason why white people are racists. And you may not know the reason. You may be wondering, but how? Let me ask you. How come they don't kill other people as they're killing black people? How come? Because every other part of the world is doing very well. You cannot be a racist towards a South Korean. If you disturb them, they will go home. Even if they're from North Korea, if you give them too much hassle, they will go to South Korea and they'll find a job. How can you be racist towards the Chinese? They are the second largest economy in the world and the second strongest military in the world. Respect. How can you be racist towards the Japanese? In London, in Nomura Bank in those days, Japanese people get paid more than white people. That is class. Do you understand it? Do you understand it? You have not done anything that people should be, that people will look at and they will marvel and say, oh, let's respect them. I have been preaching this for many years. Respect is earned. The fact you're a black person walking all over the world doesn't confer upon you any special status or makes you to be deserving or worthy of respect. It is what you are able to do. After the Second World War, America was the only nuclear power. Russia knew that for America to respect Russia, they needed their own nuclear weapons too. And that was exactly what Russia did. They went, they copied the technology from the USA. One day they announced it. They didn't stop there. They placed a man, Yuri Gagarin, in orbit, into outer space. America now knew that these people are worthy of our respect. That is how respect works. You earn respect. The fact that a black man doesn't, white can start respecting you. Why won't they kill you in America or elsewhere or in China? Tell me one African country that you're proud of. I say, name one single one. All of you are protesting George Floyd against racism. And in your own country that same day, a place you claim is your country, as you're protesting, say you're angry about a white man killing a black man, black people killed over 100 people, and none of you protested. That is the height of hypocrisy. To slice suya was what Nigeria achieved with their flagship research institute in 30 years. And you're telling me you're a Nigerian? Hey! Lord have mercy. Let's continue. Kilishi.
Okay, if you want to, you have the floor.
You have been in operation for over 30 years.
Over 30 years.
33 years.
33 years.
And up to date, you have not been able to,
What I'm saying, I'm just trying to give a background.
Background.
A background to say that this is time to get to market. And I'm saying that we have reached milestone to get to the market.
Oh, he is saying, he is saying that for 33 years, the Fulanis they've been appointing to head the Raw Materials Research Institute, they have been preparing Kilishi. It was under his tenure now that they managed to move the Kilishi to the market to go and sell. Hey, Chineke mia. I had a sip of water. The whole thing is shameful. The leading black nation in the world, as Britain will have you believe, in 33 years, all they produce is suya. Suya that has been in existence for heaven knows when. Because the name of the place is Research Institute. So the charge that we felt by going to research anything, including suya. So they went and bought suya, brought it in, and said, let's slice it very thinly to see the way it looks like. Let's put a bit of pepper and a bit of granite, and let's put it outside and see if the suya will change. Because you said it's research, that means they can research anything, including suya, for 33 years. And the man is saying, don't blame me. It was under me that I now put the sugar to the market. These are your leaders. And these are the fools asking you to vote for them in 2023. One Nigeria. And you are wondering why they're killing you in America. And you're wondering why they have 7 terror groups with this level of stupidity. Imagine the school that this buffoon went to. They're the ones answering professors that will rig an election for somebody without a certificate. They are all Nigerians. That is why I call them a zoo. That is why we call them zoo, and they are useless to the core. Because it is a black man. A black man is the reason why other races look down upon them. A black man is the reason why people are being killed all over the world. If you're black, you are in danger. You are imperiled because of the behavior of all of us, of black people. If nobody will tell you, I will tell you. Our behavior stinks. The policeman that killed George Floyd is fulfilling his duty. Because you're useless, you are nothing. I know some children are listening. I preach the way I do, so they will not be like their fathers and their grandfathers. Never. You must be different. And that difference starts from Africa doing well. Africa must do, for you to be a black, anywhere in the world, and you're a black man, if Africa, black Africa, sub-Saharan Africa is not fixed, you have no honor, you have no dignity, you have no class, and you have no worth. You are worthless. If you like, be Oprah Winfrey. If you like, be TD Jakes, you are nothing. Nothing. It won't stop them from killing black people, because collectively we are dumb. Dumb, useless. I'm telling you the truth. Some of you never knew before. George Floyd died when? In 2020. They killed him in America. Because I'm saying this for the fools that will come and say, oh, but you can see Oprah Winfrey, you can see Michael Jordan, you can see, all of you, you don't reason. You derive your worth from the value, from the sum value of a collective. That's why when we speak, we say the British did this. It could be only one person. We say Britain did this. Britain did that. Only what Lugard did, we are still talking about collective. America did this because of what Pompeo said. Collective, as a unit, as a people. Do you know that the first woman billionaire in the history of the whole world was a black woman in America? Do you know who her neighbors were? Rockefeller. A black woman. Her name was Grace, wasn't it? I'm sure some of you have seen it on Netflix. Go and watch it. Her next door neighbor was the richest man in the whole world. Rockefeller was her next door neighbor. That was how rich she was. A black woman. Did that change the lives of black people? No. Individually, maybe her bloodline may have benefited. Maybe you earned a little bit of respect the way they'll respect maybe Beyonce or whoever because you've made it in life as a person. But as a group, once a policeman sees you in America and you're black, your chances of survival is very slim. They're not doing it because they hate you necessarily. They're doing it because you are a human being. You have refused to think and reason like a human being, and you're not living like a human being. That's why they do it. And do you know why? Every racist in the world, every racist, you know those are called racists. Not the likes of this man that killed George Floyd. Those are called racists. Are those that believe that Nigeria should be one. Are those that come and tell me that something a white man created, a non-African created, should be preserved. And if you speak against it, you die. They are the real racists. Like Senator Shehu Sani. These are the real. Their own racism comes from ignorance. They know nothing. Their brains are empty. A black man is the fuel, is the oxygen that keeps the flame of racism burning. A black man is, and I'm proving it to you tonight. These are black people that support the instruments of racism. Some of you don't know that we heard and we saw them pulling down all the statues of all the racists they can find everywhere. Yeah, I was even told that the statue of Rhodes is also under scrutiny. You know who is Rhodes? I'll tell you later. Black people are the reason why there is racism in the world, especially black Africans and their failed governments all over the place. Because all of them are agents of the agents of the racists. Before you become a president in Africa, you must be an agent of one of the 5 super spy networks in the world. You must be serving the Americans, the French, the British, the Israelis. You must serve somebody. The Russians, the Chinese. You must serve somebody, or else you can never win that election. It's impossible. Somebody must be standing behind you. And then I'll tell you what to do, how to run your policies, and you agree. Then the funniest thing, if you disagree, they will kill you. We shall get to that later. Now, I want to prove to everybody that the nonsense happening in the zoo, the killings, the suffering that we are all crying over, the killing of George Floyd, it is you that caused it. You listening, you are the cause of it. Do you know why? Because you have failed to untangle the chain of racism around your neck. You have failed to set yourself free. As Bob Marley said, your reasoning capacity, you are growing every day in ignorance, not in knowledge. Every day you grow in ignorance. That is why somebody who went to a university, came out with a doctorate degree, forged from Adebayo University, is the head of a research unit, raw materials research, with billions upon billions of dollars voted every year for research. All they came up with was suya. That's why in a country where you have people who claim they're intellectuals and they're learned, like Senator Shehu, will come and tell you that what they're going to do to crush IPOB. Let those holding green, white, green crush those holding Biafran flag. In other words, encouraging mass murder. But he's a senator. No longer a senator, I understand. He went to school. He knows the meaning of freedom. He knows that as imperfect as the zoo was in those days, Azikiwe, Awolowo, and Tafawa Balewa fought for independence. The same principle that Biafra is applying. But this man, despite the fact that he claims he's a senator, he makes laws for the people, that very simple fact was lost on him. A very simple fact was lost on him. So had Britain that time said we are annexing this Niger area to the colony, as they do in the Caribbean, what would he have done? These are the racists. Anybody supporting one Nigeria is a racist. Because everything you have in place has been put there by a racist. The reason we were named after a river is because Lugard and Forashaw had no regard for you. Instead of you to wake up one morning and say enough is enough, as they are now doing in the West, you see the way white people reason. They're going around pulling down all the statues of racists. Can you do that in Africa? You cannot do it. Do you see the difference between white and black? Do you see why you are poor and they are rich? Do you see why they have light and you don't? Do you see why they have drinking water and you don't? Because the way you reason is defective, it is flawed. The people sustaining racism, the people that killed George Floyd are black Africans and those African Americans that refused to return to Africa to build it. I will ask you again, have you seen anybody being racist towards a Brazilian or being racist towards any affluent country in the world? No. They beg them to come for holidays. If you see where they're begging Chinese people to give them visa for free, go anywhere you like. Then you will know that you are the architect of your own problem. I've not come tonight to make anybody feel good. I have come to preach what heaven asked me to preach. Before we can get into our freedom, we need to reason in a particular way. If we don't reason that way, we will get worse fools than the janjaweed you have in the zoo running our government, and nobody can hold them accountable. Now listen very carefully, please. There are 7 terrorist groups in the zoo called Nigeria. 7. I will name them for you. Jamaat Nusrat al-Islam wal Muslimin, JNIM. You have the Islamic State in West Africa, this one. You have the Islamic State, Greater Sahara, another one, ISGS. You have Al-Qaeda in Islamic Maghreb, AQIM. You have the Ansaruddin. You have Boko Haram, and you have Mieti Allah. From one people. So when Buratai says, or his ghost says, oh, we are fighting them in Borno. Are you fighting Boko Haram? Are you fighting Mieti Allah, which is a partner in your murderous regime? Are you fighting Ansaruddin? Are you fighting Al-Qaeda? Are you fighting ISIS in Greater Sahara? Are you fighting ISWA, ISIS in West Africa? Are you fighting Jamaat Nusrat al-Islam wal Muslimin? Who are you fighting? Do you see the mess you're in? If you're a Nigerian, do you see how hopeless your life is? Because if Jamaat Nusrat doesn't get you, ISIS in West Africa will. If ISIS misses you, ISIS in Greater Sahara will. If they don't get you, Al-Qaeda will surely get you. Let's say you escape Al-Qaeda, Ansaruddin is waiting for you. And let's say you manage somehow to wiggle your way out, you confront Boko Haram. And if you manage to go to your village safe, then Mieti Allah is there waiting for you. How can you escape? How can Nigeria survive? How can this nonsense survive? I am saying to you, they call us, I want to prove to people tonight, I just want to lecture, to prove to people tonight that a black man is the reason why George Floyd was killed by a white policeman. It is down to the stupidity, complacency, idiocy, and mediocrity of a black man. These are demons you cannot see. For you to be classified as a civilized people, you must be able to slay all of them. You must kill. And the first demon, the most difficult demon to kill is the demon of ignorance. Do you understand? I want to give you a secret as to why IPOB is formidable. We are formidable because we started from the scratch to school and to educate our people on how to reason critically. That is why IPOB is undefeatable by man. Undefeated. You cannot. Not in 1 trillion years, you cannot. Undefeatable. Because we started from the bottom. We identified that ignorance is the greatest killer disease you have in the whole world. The greatest killer. And the white man, being very clever, they discovered that ignorance was the problem. You know what they did? When the Enlightenment started in Florence, in Italy, They spread it all over Europe. And now they held it back. When they colonize territories or they conquer you, if you ask them, what is the secret of your greatness? They will tell you it is warfare. It is economic might. Now it's economy. Before they used to tell you it's warfare. If you ask them, oh, but how can I be like Japan? They'll say, oh, no, it's the economy. You have to go to IMF. You talk to IMF. They'll give you a loan. You invest. And then you go to EcoBank. You go to Central Bank. All that rubbish. Nonsense. The foundation upon which every success is built when it comes to society is based on how intelligent they are, not how clever, how reasonable they are. It takes people who are reasonable to understand that those that finance Boko Haram should not be voted into power. It's common sense. Listen, before Jonathan came, Obama wanted a Muslim to be in charge of Nigeria. Understand this very clearly. It should have taken the so-called Nigerians to know that although we want Jonathan to go out, this bunch coming in, they're bad news. And if you weigh the two, bad news and the thieving PDP, that a thieving PDP was better than a murderous, sanctimonious, corrupt bunch of idiots, as you have in APC. Do you know those that saw them coming? Funny enough, Biafrans, they did not vote. They never voted for the dead Buhari. Never. They said no. Because they saw something that others couldn't see. Those that claim they are sophisticated, they are obeying, they are westernized, they couldn't see it. There's something now happening between us and Ohanesm. Why do I say that blacks are the main problem of black people all over the world? Don't blame any white man. If you're blaming a white man, you're foolish. A white man came all the way from Europe. Arabs came all the way from Arabia, came to Africa. You sold them your own people. You gave your mother, you sold everything. How do you think they respect you? How do you think, let's be honest. So let's do an experiment. Go out tonight or tomorrow morning, bring out your son or your daughter on your doorstep. See anybody walking past and say, hey, come. I want to sell this child now. I want to sell this child for 10,000 naira. Of course, people are buying children. We know that every blessed day. And see how, if that person has conscience, see the way they look at you. In Africa, your children are trekking through the desert, dying of dehydration. They get to Libya. Those that survived the slave market in Libya and in Tunisia, they now brace the perilous journey across the Mediterranean. Most die, of course. If they survive, they now get into Europe. They only want to witness running water, electricity, and 3 square meals before they die. Because of that, they trek from Africa to Europe. No European leader have ever said, I am ashamed of what is happening. Nobody. No human being has ever said that before. Oh, we are moving forward. If we are trying to build railway, we want to build. Nobody. No shame. A black man has no shame. That's what it's called class. To have to possess class means you have shame. Because without shame, you are nothing. That is why in Igbo land we say, you don't know that's why we say it. You need to have shame before you can have class. Shame makes it impossible for you to do certain things. That is why when you're with someone in Biafra land, are you not ashamed of yourself? So you think we just say it for saying sake? It is to caution you that there are some things you're not supposed to do. And that is how you derive class, if you don't know. They are calling us secessionists. I want to demolish the stupidity of African people tonight. That's why I'm here. To demolish the idiocy of black people and their mind-numbing hypocrisy. Hypocrisy in South Africa. They are doing a rally to Black Lives Matter when only a few months ago you were and lynching other black Africans that fought apartheid until apartheid fell. You people are hypocrites. As Jimmy Cliff said, all of you hypocrites. Somebody is calling me a secessionist. I want to deal with all this nonsense. You are calling me a secessionist because I am trying to become the way I was before the white man put me together. I don't understand black people. None of the states in Africa is viable. They are all racist constructs built with racism in mind. They know if we put people with different value systems together, that you can never grow. They know this thing very well. It's black people. It's a very simple thing to do. That was why Britain left the EU. Convergence of value system. I was on my own. My ancestors were there. One Beture came, a white man came and said, your name is now Nigeria. And I'm asking, who were we before you came? We were Biafrans. Now you're calling me a secessionist because I'm trying to dismantle something that a racist put in place. I can't understand black people. I don't understand them. And somebody who claims is a senator. You are telling me, hey, Chineke, are you telling me that Lugard had your interest at heart when he was building Nigeria? Nigeria was a racist construct. Every country in Africa, with the exception of Ethiopia, is a racist construct. I don't understand it. Or now, maybe the exception of Sudan. I don't understand you people. Why do you reason the way you do, black African people? Why have you always failed? I was on my own and somebody came, stole something from me, my identity, my sovereignty, my value, my worth, everything, and put it in some nonsense called Nigeria. And I want to go and take it and go back, and you're telling me I'm seceding. Oh, I am seceding because you are an agent of neo-colonialism. You're calling me a secessionist because a white man, your white God that created you, built something. And here is this nigger trying to spoil what a white man built. That is why you defend Nigeria, because it is indefensible. Even if you don't subscribe to our very valued argument, or should I say valid argument, as to why Nigeria should not be won. Why not all the mayhem and the killings? Why must Nigeria be won when all these killings are going on? You cannot see it because you're blind. You're not intellectually gifted. You're not savvy. You're not discerning. You are not intelligent. It's as simple as that. You are unreasonable. You don't know that you saying that you want to be a Nigerian means that you are supporting the policeman in Texas that killed George Floyd. If Nigeria is good, then the killing of George Floyd is also good, because both of them are products of racism. You can't like one and not like the other. I'm telling Sheikh Husani and his likes, you people are not educated enough to challenge IPOB intellectually. You've not been born. You are nothing to us. How can I be seceding from myself? I was in my village and the white man came. I'm from Ibegu. A white man came and your name is now Omuahe. Omuahe was a name he got from Ibeji. Ibeji, he was in Ibeji. Afi Ibeji. He said, what are you doing here? He said, this is Omuahe. He wrote Omuahe. When he got to the main market in town, he said, oh, the other one I saw before is the old Omuahe. Oh, this is the new one. That was how the name Omuahe came about. Omuahe doesn't exist. What you have is Ibek, you have Obakala, you have Ohonho, you have Olokoro, you have Ikwan. These are clans, in their own right, clans existing. Somebody came and said, your name is now Omuahe. And you answer that Omuahe that he gave you. And you travel to the person's village, maybe in Scotland or wherever, in Bristol or whatever, and you claim you are equal to the man who gave you a name. Who are you? Do you see how you are? You people are the purveyors of your own. You provide the world the ammunition, or should I say the rod with which to beat you. because you are not intelligent. I don't want to prove tonight, that's all. You people are not intelligent. Blacks are not intelligent. I was in my village, a white man came, said, you, from is Nigeria. And the white man has gone. Then if what the white man created was good enough, why did we not ask the British to stay there? Why is it that what they built will stay, but not them? I don't understand it. I cannot begin to follow the logic. I cannot begin to comprehend it. I'm asking you, if you believe in one Nigeria, as built by a white man, why should you, which you have, if Nigeria wasn't a racist construct, why would you ask the white people to leave? And they gave independence in 1960. If it's a good thing, why didn't they stay? Why did you ask them to go? You asked them to go because Nigeria is illegal. But you wanted to keep all the trappings. It's just like somebody, you said, somebody ran into your home with stolen goods, a criminal. They are pursuing him. He ran into your home, left the goods in your house. And you say, okay, come, I will give you up as the criminal, but I will keep all the things you stole. Typical black people from Africa. You think I've come to pity you? Of course not. It's a sad thing that George Floyd died. But George Floyd was killed by you and I, killed by our impotence, killed by our stupidity, killed by our unreasonableness, killed by the fact that after 30 years of doing research, all he came up with was suya, kilishi, barbecue, how to barbecue meat, the amount of salt to put on it, the amount of pepper, and how to slash it. After 33 years of running a research, high-end research laboratory. And you want whites not to kill you, or you want racists to spare you. You are drunk. If you don't know, they are calling us secessionists. Those were the mindset. These are the people that killed George Floyd, not the white racists, as I keep saying. The white man choked him to death. But had Africa been doing very well, that man could not have stopped him on the road. How many times, all of you in America, in Europe, how many times have you seen a policeman before stop an Asian? How many times, I'm asking you? You see us will be wearing trousers with near our knees, our children. How many Asian kids have you seen? Have you listened to rap music before? The rap culture? How depraved it is? Depraved. That is your mainstream culture in America. And when people say, oh, no, it's wrong. Come on, get away from my face. You're a fool. What stupid racism? It's the truth. Look at Africa, how useless Africa is. Africa is a disgrace. Africa is a disgrace. A shame upon shame. Because you cannot reason. And here, after tonight, I'm sure you're going to reason very well. Now listen. A black man's problem is self-propagated ignorance. The worst is that when a person is a fool and don't know he's a fool, he becomes a danger to himself. Once you're an idiot, you don't know you're an idiot. You are the greatest danger to your own self. That is what's happening in Africa. That is why Boko Haram is killing. And Saudin is killing. Al-Qaeda is killing. Headsmen are killing. If not stupid, why are they killing everybody? I'm asking you. And that is the country built by a white man you want me to belong to. They want to secede because you're so lazy. That is why you want oil from Biafra land. You people are so lazy you can do nothing. I challenge them. If you are not a lazy group of people, Fulani, go and form your own nation. You people don't. Hey, I'm going mental. Listen very carefully to me. Do you know why the best things come from Europe and now Asia? Because there is competition. Do you know why you have iPhone, is it 12 or 13 Pro, whatever, with 3 cameras at the back? It's because of competition. Because Apple knows that if they don't make, if they are not at the cutting edge of technology, maybe Samsung will overtake them. Do you see some of you claim you read economics? Have you seen the benefits of competition? You must allow people to compete. They must compete. If the Premier League, as it is today, has no relegation, no promotion, the quality of football will be very, very poor. People lose interest. Competition. In Nigeria, over many years, they have failed to allow competition to come in because they know that Biafrans are blessed. They know Biafrans are very smart. Introduce competition. Take all the oil and gas. Allow us to be free. You will come to beg us to come in. They know this. It's called dumbing down. It's called dumbing down to reduce the standard to a level whereby everybody is a fool. That is what the Fulanese did to you. That is feudal system at its worst. And that is what racists in Britain are enjoying. That is why they can take our oil without paying for it. Because fools are in charge. That is why they can load a 70-ton tanker and claim it's only 25 and they will pay and they will go away. That is why anybody who says, I support one Nigeria, Nigeria should not fail, that person is corrupt. I don't care if you are the president or prime minister of the most advanced country in the world. Once you support Nigeria as it is, you are a racist. Gospel from heaven. If you understand it, you'll be free. If you don't, I can't help you. I am telling you how Biafrans will be reasoning. This is how we're going to reason in Biafra land. Everybody will reason this way. We will teach common sense and reasoning from nursery. We will teach you that anytime your head of state travels abroad to go and take medical treatment, if he comes back, he or she will face trial and firing squad. Because that place that the hospital you're traveling to abroad, somebody built it. And those that built it, they don't have two heads. That's why they hate Biafra. That was why after I had a declaration by Ojukwu, they said, no. We can't allow them to come up. Who stopped Biafra from emerging? They are racists. Because they know that Biafra survives, Africa will survive. Do you know the funniest thing? Those they used to fight against the emergence of black people are fellow blacks in Gowan and the rest of them. And had Biafra stood in 1967, George Floyd would not be killed by a white man in Texas. Because Biafra will be a reference point and a beacon. And the same effect that Japan had on Southeast Asia, Biafra, because once you have Biafra and they see we are working hard, Janjaweed, the Fulani, will be forced to abandon their cattle and to go to school and to work hard. It's simple common sense. It's called competition. They took everything away, took all the competition away. They think we are fools. Right? Do you not see how anybody who is against a secessionist is a racist? If you're against me, you are a racist. Because I had an identity before the white man came. That identity is what they are afraid of. They don't want me to return to it. Because in a place called Nigeria, they have defined everything. They can control me. Both in the physical and in the spirit. They own you. But if I go back to the land of my ancestors, I will be guided by the rules and the laws of the land. That's how it is. I want to prove beyond every reasonable doubt that Fulani killing of Judeo-Christians, and to an extent also, because we must be truthful. Not only Christians are being killed, Muslims are being killed as well. That is the truth. But a disproportionate number of Christians are being killed because of their religion. The reason why they kill Christians and Biafrans is because they are doing the work of racists in Europe and in America. Especially those in the Democratic Party. You know me, I call a spade a spade. I don't believe in all that stupid, nonsensical, political correct. I'll go back to the US. If the Democratic Party don't want to see me because of what I'm saying, then so be it. That means that they're hypocrites. I look at you and I tell you the truth. You may not like it, but I will tell you the truth. Are you stronger than God? Elohim, he is the one directing what we're doing. If you don't know, ask those that said over that dead body will Biafra come. Even in Abba, they are today in the grave. So Elohim is in charge. I don't care what man does. I don't give a damn. I don't care what man does. I want to prove it to everybody, to demonstrate how the Fulani, how they are planned. They have planned strategically. Their dream is to overwhelm everybody, conquer Nigeria, make it the natural home of Fulani, not the Futajalon hills, the hill of the vultures, but to make Nigeria, that's damnable contraption, the home of Fulanis all over the world. I said the borders in the north are open, the ones in the south are closed. Nobody said anything. And I have said it repeatedly. Yoruba, please, I'm begging you. If you know you are a coward and cannot do proper journalism, you get out of the way. But there's something, at least to an extent, channels who wrote something today, try to report what, before they won't report it, there are things they will not report it. It's because of the work IPOB is doing all over the world. I want to prove it to everybody. I will demonstrate how the Fulanis and other agents of neo-colonialism have all benefited from the current state of arrangement in Africa. I call them the independent European colonies of Africa, not even OAU or AU. All the African countries, I see them as independent European colonies. They're not viable. But once an African man gets seen, he will see all the siren, the flashy cars, the fact that he or she will be controlling billions, and the knot in his brain will go off. Ask him to come, he will never reason. They don't understand the meaning of sacrifice. They don't know it. First of all, having established the foundation, George Floyd, his death is like that of coronavirus, in that both of them were man-made. But the resultant effect is so seismic that it's being felt all over the world. Understand and reason through what I'm saying. What is to note here is that white people joined black people to protest. White people went to topple, you know who's King Leopold in Belgium. They brought down his statue. White people in Belgium. Remember what I told you about whites before? That no matter how bad the world is, white people have conscience. Blacks don't. I am telling you the fact, and that is why blacks are suffering. A white person has conscience. Black people, we don't have any conscience. We are wicked. And that's why we are the lowest of the low. Can you believe? A white man killed a black person, and the white people in far away Bristol in England, in far away Belgium, brought down the statues of their own people they felt were racists. But in Africa, South Africans were killing their own fellow blacks not too long ago. Nobody did anything. No sanctions against South Africa, nothing. Do you see how the difference between you and white people? Do you see why God loves them? Anything they touch turns into gold. God gave them the grace of Midas touch. Anything they conceive in their mind, they build, they make. Others copy from them. Everybody copies from Europe. You must copy from them. By that I mean USA, because USA came from Europe. You must copy from them. You must copy from them. Be you Chinese, Japan, whoever you are. You may improve on their product, but the original idea belongs to Western Europe. Because they are blessed. They have conscience. Do you have conscience as a black person? If you have conscience, why would you want to secure a vestige of racism? Every state in Africa is a racist creation. Why do you want to keep it? As a black man. I'm asking Senator Sheikh Husani, why do you want to keep Nigeria as one? Based on what? Because it was built by a white man? Based on what? I'm asking you. Are you related to me? In what way? Do we worship the same God? Do we eat the same type of food? Do we dress the same way? Do we even reason alike? I believe in a Republican society where everybody is equal. Is that what you believe in? I believe in democracy. Is that what you believe in? As a Janjaweed, you don't believe in all these things. So we cannot be together. We just cannot be together. It's not possible. A white man made it so. So we can all be poor at the same time. We have irreconcilable value systems. What we are doing tonight is a lecture of this type you have not heard anywhere before. Now listen. White people joined a protest all over the world to protest against the killing of a black man by a fellow white. Now, how many times have you heard black people protest the killing of a black man by another black man? Never. Who is protesting for the 50 people killed in Katsina? Who is protesting for the 69 killed in Borno? Are they not human beings? Because they weren't killed by white people. All of you are hypocrites. Every symbol and every statue of oppression and racism in America and in Europe are being scrutinized and demolished. Not even the symbol of Sir Cecil Rhodes. Some of you may not know him. He founded the Rhodes Scholarship. For those who don't know, people who don't know history, Cecil Rhodes was the man that gave his name to Zimbabwe. He called it Rhodesia. Zimbabweans came in and said, "To hell with your name." They answered Zimbabwe, which is an ancient name. Do you see how people reason? He gave it. What do you think would have happened if that place remained Rhodesia? It's if you go out and say, treat me as an equal, they tell you you're a fool. You're answering the name of a white man that enslaved you, colonized you, pillaged your land. Are you not a fool? The same thing is applicable to Nigeria. I'm telling those who don't know that those who are seeking is not, we are going back to how we were before. I don't care what anybody says. Nigeria is not viable and was never a country and can never be. It is a racist construct. The reason why some diplomats will say, "Oh, we want Nigeria to be," because they see you as a fool. If you doubt me, then go to their own country and say you want to create a country. You see what they will do to you. Because you're a slave. You're a black man from Africa. Your own stupidity is out of this world. That is like, leave Nigeria one. We don't want Nigeria to break. Why not? Every empire crumble. Why not? Russia, Soviet Union broke up. Yugoslavia, what happened? Did the world come to an end? As Bob Marley said, none of these things can stop the time. If you detonate every atomic bomb in the whole world, the time that God made will continue. So the world will not come to an end. Those lobbying and saying Nigeria must be kept as one are those collecting gas and oil for free. There are those coming and bribing your ministers and making your lives miserable. They are the ones lobbying and paying huge money to ask the world to keep Nigeria as one. Now do you understand? Now do you understand it? Anybody fighting you, don't go calling you names. You are this, you are a Biafra, you are a scammer. That person, unbeknown to him or her, is an agent of racism. They want to keep you locked down in an artificial construct made by a white man for the habitation and enslavement of black people. Simple logic. Simple logic. Now listen to me. Do you know President Bill Clinton? Do you know President Bill Clinton, the husband of Hillary? Do you know him? Clinton went to Oxford as a Rhodes Scholar. That Rhodes I told you. Cecil Rhodes. And who was Cecil Rhodes? The master of racism, the master of pillaging of Africa, the master of slavery from Africa. That's why we're exceptional. After studying in the library, the man came and switched off the light and said we should leave. You see, Clinton went to school, or part of his education, with money made from slavery. That is your darling in the Democratic Party. Ignorance is a disease. The name of the man is Cecil Rhodes. Rhodes is R-H-O-D-E-S. Cecil, C-E-C-I-L. Rhodes, R-H-O-D-E-S. Of Rhodesia, present-day Zimbabwe. He was the Lord and Master. The same way that King Leopold owned the whole of Congo was how Rhodes owned the whole of Zimbabwe and of South Africa. Slavery, slave trade, killed Africans, saved the money, invested it, and President Bill Clinton was a beneficiary of that because he was a Rhodes Scholar, not Oxford. Now you understand how intelligent we are, don't you? They say he's arrogant. Why won't I be arrogant, for goodness sake? I'm learned, but so why won't I be? We have class. Why won't I be? I have shame. So why won't I be arrogant? I'm not a black baboon who cannot reason. My point is that the real reason why George Floyd was killed is because we Africans, black Africans, we are a failure. A failure. Do you want me to explain to you? Do you know if Biafra comes, the light my village will use, I will generate it from my local stream called the Yokata. I just build a very simple dam. The water will tumble down and be rotating a turbine. And the whole of my village will have electricity. Are you aware of that? Are you aware that you have everything all around you to make your life comfortable, but stupidity will not let you do so because you're a black man or black woman, because of the way you reason? Not that there's nothing wrong with our pigmentation. Black people are great. They were once great. How many of you actually know that the 24th, the king, or should I say, the pharaoh of the 24th and 25th dynasty were black people from Nubia? I don't want to dive into too much history. The pharaoh of Egypt of the 24th pharaonic dynasty and 25th, they came from Sudan. And you must also know that Sudan is not an Arabic land. You must know that. That was why Southern Sudanese refused to change their name. They said they would rather answer South Sudan because Sudan is a black country. Those Arabs you see there, they migrated from Arabia to come in there to settle. The same thing with Libya. Libya is a black country. Morocco was a black country. The Phoenicians inhabited Egypt. The 24th and 25th pharaonic dynasty were black people. I said black. And it was very, very successful. It was a great era for the pharaohs. So that is why the name Sudan, the blacks of southern Sudan did not want to abandon it for the Arabs from the north. Because the Arabs, like the Fulanis, are visitors. And I commend the Southern Sudanese for it. Fact. That is why anybody who's ever tried before to make black people reason, they've always killed that person. Apart from myself, because they know they can't kill me. Then they know. They have their meeting and they know they can't do anything. Once you try, that is one thing a white racist is afraid of. A white racist is not afraid of the likes of Oprah Winfrey or Black Magic Johnson or Michael Jordan, black billionaires. No, they're not afraid. The only thing that a white racist is afraid of is your capacity to reason. That is where they have the edge over black people. Reasoning. And they know it. That was why they killed Martin Luther King. That was why they killed a man, an American for that matter, who left the USA to come to Africa. His name was Walter Rodney. He was a visiting lecturer at University of Dar es Salaam in Tanzania. The CIA found him and they pumped 30 bullets into his head and he died. He wasn't a terrorist. In those days he was killed. His name was Walter Rodney. He wrote a treatise, How Europe. If you read that book and you cannot reason, then you're a baboon for life. And I would recommend it for every Biafran to read. How Europe underdeveloped Africa. You know, the funniest thing was, at my final year at the university, my project, they call it thesis, the thesis I wrote was a critique of dependency theory. Him and Samai Ame's, lambasting of white people as being the reason why blacks are poor. I argued against Walter Rodney, who is my hero, by the way. That was my thesis. And you know what happened? You know, when you go to school in England, final year at the university, you write your thesis, 2 copies. You submit it, 2 copies. And after they examined and marked it, they turned 1 to 2. I submitted 2 copies. Nobody brought back my own copy for me till today because of what was contained in my thesis. My supervising professor was Professor Chiriakandat. I'll never forget that name. Professor James Chiriakandat. Anybody who knows. Very intelligent man. Very gentle. When I gave him the topic of my thesis, he said it is impossible. I said I will do it. Because before then I knew that the problem of a black man is a black man, and I was able to pinpoint that the difficulty, the stupidity of a black man resides in his brain, not in his hands or legs, in the brain. I knew that our brain had difficulties. I needed fixing. And I wrote my thesis based on it. The white man, there were 3 that came. After reading my thesis, they took it. They never came back to me with a copy. That is to tell you. They killed Walter Rodney. They met him at the University of Dar es Salaam and killed him at the campus. They killed Patrice Lumumba. Go and read about these people I'm telling you. They killed Thomas Sankara, which you all know. They even killed Murtala Mohammed. I've told you this before. And do you know who was instrumental in the coup that led to the death of Murtala Mohammed? Gowon. Gowon was in England, in London. This Gowon they're seeing now praying. It's not today he started killing and planning the death of people. He was in London and he planned with the British Secret Service to kill Murtala Mohammed. What did Murtala Mohammed do? Exactly what Ojukwu tried to do. To indigenize our people. Murtala Mohammed changed the name of Union Bank. Sorry, the name of Barclays Bank to Union Bank. Standard Bank to First Bank. Changed British Petroleum, yes, BP, the same BP that Harold Wilson killed 5 million Biafrans because of BP. He changed the name from BP to AP. That is why you see AP filling stations, Africa Petroleum. It was made possible by Murtala Mohammed. And the British said, you ungrateful... I think it was Kanu. Not that it was... Or Fulani. It was Fulani. They said to him, you ungrateful Fulani man. We are going to kill you. That was how they killed Murtala Mohammed. So he was killed actually by British secret agents, or secret service, so to speak. MI5 killed him. They made it like a coup through Dimka. They convinced Dimka about rubbish because Dimka was from the Middle Belt, and so did Gowon. Gowon was part of the coup that killed Murtala Muhammad. Murtala Muhammad was an intelligent man. He had to indigenize and he was killed. They killed Steve Biko. They left others alive, but they killed Steve Biko. Have you listened to Steve Biko's speeches before? The anti-apartheid crusader. Have you listened to him? If you listen to him, I'm telling you about black men you can listen to and your lives will change. It can never be the same. I'm not talking about Murtala Muhammad though, please. Al-Majri. Not Murtala Muhammad. Martin Luther King, Walter Rodney, read his book. Patrice Lumumba, go and read about his speeches. Thomas Sankara, what he did and his speeches. Steve Biko. Bob Marley. Bob Marley was killed by the CIA. They put a poison dart in his shoes. He put his leg in. A tiny pin pricked his toe, his right toe. That gave him cancer. And from there he died. Why did they kill him? Because the man was, in fact, I don't know, I see Bob Marley as one of the most, should I say, is the most intelligent black man to walk the face of the earth. He's a philosopher. The only thing that Bob Marley knew that if you were to start writing books, blacks wouldn't buy it. He sang songs. He started singing. He knew that blacks would not buy books. He knew very well. He started singing. Bob Marley is the best of them all. Martin Luther King was a very close second. Listen to him. And Malcolm X. These are people you listen to, and your lives, your life will change forever and ever. All of them were killed by white racists. They were killed by white supremacist governments all over the world, including USA and Britain, including France. France killed Thomas Sankara. It was the same Belgium, Congo. In fact, it was CIA that killed Patrice Lumumba. CIA killed him. And who did they use to kill him? Mobutu Sese Seko. Who did they use to kill Thomas Sankara? Another black man, Blaise Compaoré. That is what they do. If you want to destroy IPOB, why far? Let's look for somebody close to his village. Let's look for somebody who has in fact, an Igbo name. Let's use somebody who is a Biafran. Let's bribe them. It didn't start today. That's the trick of the white. I've not even come to the part of the. I'm going to stay on this evening, please. I know that some of you may be worried, but I have to stay. I have things to preach. Please, I have things to preach. We're going to be here for a while this evening. If your data is finished, go to your neighbor. You people should combine, cooperate, and buy data. Those of you listening via social media. Nelson Mandela only survived apartheid onslaught. Do you know why he survived? Because white people all over the world took up his cause. It was not because of the blacks in South Africa that South Africa became free. They have provided the resilience, the backbone, and the impetus. But the bulk of the work in terms of awareness, consistency of the campaign, potency, and drive all came from whites all over the world. That's why they have conscience. They may be evil sometimes, but when you weigh everything, whites, they have conscience. Let's be honest about it. Are you telling me that we are black people to be in the position or in the pinnacle of the tree of life on this earth that they will spare anybody else? Look at what the Fulanis are doing to you. That should tell you. They will kill everybody. The greatest racist act in the world is the creation of states in Africa. The greatest tragedy is that Africans that don't know that this is the cause of their problem. There are issues in how they went about the creation of nations in Africa. They were built by racist neo-colonialists. And they are the ones sustaining the culture of poverty, repression, and disease. What is racism? What could be more racist than naming a country after a river in one stroke, obliterating the history, the culture, and the tradition of the people. In one master stroke. One stroke. Because if just as we now know our name, what it means, where it comes from, now we know that Biafra was a kingdom. The kingdom of God in heaven. People wonder, but how can it be? I said, because you are blind in the spirit. That is why we name our children Chibueze, that God is king. Before the British came, nobody answered king in our land. Eze doesn't mean king. Eze is in Hebrew. In Hebrew is Ezar, E-Z-A-R, which means a leader. When you have Igwe, Igwe is Ojena Moor, a conduit between the living and the spiritual realm. Not a king. Not a king. We don't have kings in Biafra land. The kings you had were those made, when you hear about the king Amakli, king this, king that, they were the ones made by the Portuguese and the British when they came, because they needed to control everybody. They couldn't deal with our collegiate system of everybody coming to the market square and discussing their probably one person as a king, that's all. Do you understand how kingship came about? Even King Jaja of Opobo. That's how it came about. They're all slave merchants. That's all there is to it. The kings that you had, especially around the riverine areas of Biafra land, the coastal region, they were kings made to make the control of slave trade a bit more smoother. That's all. They're all slave merchants. That's all. What could be more racist than naming somebody who is a Biafran? You come one day, you say he's a Nigerian, and he's lost. And when when our fathers asked the British after Arochukwu fell in 1904, why are you doing this? Who are we? You document everything. The British told our people in Arochukwu that you have no history. When they discovered who we are. Now let me tell you this. For you to be a human being, you must observe treaty and laws. For you to be a human being, you must obey and respect international principles that you signed up to. The zoo called Nigeria, they have signed up and domesticated the following international rights and security and humanitarian treaties. Now listen, but there is still killing going on. I want to prove tonight the depth or the extent of a black man's stupidity. That's what I want to prove. Maybe after tonight I won't preach it again. And they include, listen, Nigeria ratified the United Nations Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, but they're still clamping down on IPOB, arresting us and killing us. But they signed the treaty because a black man doesn't know what a treaty means. More so a Janjaweed, a Fulani. They don't know what it means because they cannot run a viable modern government. They have no idea what it's all about. They just, oh, we are going to sign something in Geneva. They go and they sign in Geneva. They don't know what it means. Nigeria signed political rights. They signed UN Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, which don't obey. UN Anti-Genocide and Torture Convention. But now, in the police station now, they are beating somebody, they are killing somebody right now. They have a treaty that they signed. The worst part of it is that if you take them to the court of law and say to a judge, please, can you interpret this thing? My child is at army cantonment or army barracks in Ojo. Is it Ojo is called? They are torturing him. Look at this. George, a black man wearing a wig in Africa, will find the government not guilty. But the law is there. We have serious problems. I want to read something which I would like Amaka to post.